wish you could just click it and see. Because F3 is the button I use to turn things up. Why don't they let you click it? Alright, hold on. I can turn off my volume thing. Where is it? Which one would it be? I think this one. Nope. Alright. Keyboard. Oh, actually... Actually, can I make F8? Alright, so now F8 should fix it. Hopefully. Wait, what did that do? I'm sure it's fine. Alright, let's just start. Would you like to view the You know what? Let's view the tutorial. Let's get into it. The game is designed to be played with a mouse. The input required of you is based around clicking the mouse buttons. The right mouse button will change the cursor's image and function. Oh. Only when pointing, indicated by the extended index finger, can you, the player, interact with certain menu buttons and prompts. Please click below in the... I kind of like... Because then I can show you guys what I'm reading. Anyway, I'm a lefty, so we're gonna have the left hand. The second cursor mode is indicated by the cursor's extending fingers. This mode concerns interacting with objects inside the world, mainly picking up an object and moving it into another position. To continue, please pick up the piece of trash on the right and place it in the trash can on the left. Oh! Okay, that's it. There will be many situations in Growing My Grandpa that will require you to pick things up, place things, grab things, or give things. Don't be afraid to experiment and keep an open mind about using your hand! I can't take pictures, but that's okay. In order to expedite the cleaning process, you can use digits 1, 2, and 3 in your keyboard's number row. To reposition the trash can below, try moving the can to the right of the screen. Well done. Please click the continue button to move on, and please remember menu buttons must be clicked in the pointer mode. Okay. A variety of... See, it's vaguely tutorial, but mostly this is what you do. Alright, video options can be changed. Growing My Grandpa's display is scaled up by a factor of 2 and the shader is set at low. Hovering over the small question mark in the top right provides an overlay related... Okay. Thus ends the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed Growing My Grandpa. Infinite thanks to my patrons and supporters for believing in me and my work. Yames. Or Yum, or whatever. Anyway. Week 1. I'm growing my grandpa into the perfect gentleman. I excused Adrian during music class today and spoke with her about her recent string of demerits. It was our first time meeting outside of our quarterly evaluations, and I believe it went well. I can certainly understand Mrs. Richardson's classroom observations concerning Adrian's emotional state. She was, of course, intensely shy when we first met. As I understand it, she is similarly withdrawn in her classroom activities and only speaks or acts when she absolutely must. Some things she simply will not do. Instead of participating in mandatory group activities, she will sit alone and accept that she will receive a demerit. It sounds like me when we had free time in, like, kindergarten. I didn't want to play with the other kids. I wanted to, like, do shit by myself. I didn't get a demerit for it, but, like, I just want to do a puzzle. Before the meeting, I read Mrs. Richardson's parent-teacher report, which allowed me to estimate some about Adrian's home life. The parents are well educated and come from a prestigious background, but they lack time to properly nurture Adrian. She is often alone, and when she is not, the parents seem to not understand the importance of warmth and affirmation when dealing with someone so young. Having two parents with this reserved and icy temperament exacts an inhibition in a child. The child's imagination is subdued, and only ostensibly, for it eventually finds its way into regular life. I surmised that I would be able to reach out to Adrian by way of make-believe. How are you liking your new house? You told me you used to live close by, but it still can be a big adjustment. A new room, a new school. Is that Adrian? She looks horrifying. The basement. I like that. I don't like that she likes the basement. Basement? Yeah, well, there's a lot of cool stuff. Mom and Dad sent me down there. I gotta get the dog real quick. Alrighty. So Mom and Dad sent Adrian into the basement for some reason. Cool. He just wanted to say hi. Why did her parents have her? If they don't give her care or love or affection or anything, why did they have her? Your mom and dad made you go? Yeah, but there's lots of cool stuff. Well, that's not why they sent me down there, though. Like, at my first house, the basement was, like, also the playroom. But it wasn't... The basement was a little dark just because it was an old house. But it wasn't, like, a creepy basement. That's weird, though. Why did they send you down there? Fighting. They were fighting, shouting. I came in to help and they shouted at me. They said, go clean up downstairs, so I went. That sounds tough. Do they fight a lot? No, well, they, It's alright, Adrian. Maybe you can tell me more about the basement instead. Okay. Well, it was weird at first, the stuff down there, but cool. I found something living. Sort of. That's very interesting, Adrian. Please tell me more. By indulging her in her fantasies and stories, I was able to glean more of an understanding of Adrian's anxiety surrounding her home and parents. Yeah, her parents don't seem good. I know that was like, you know, the explanation practically said that, but like, go clean up our nasty ass, dark, scary basement, child. And like, it's good to have the kids help out young, but that's fucked to have her go down there by herself. The symbols of Adrian's story seem to carry their own traumatic weight, and her exploration of the basement may very well be a vehicle for the conveyance of her anxiety. Whatever might come of our next meeting, whether she will engage in similar make-believe, I will set down her story here. Adrian's story begins with her delving into the basement with a trash receptacle and the goal of cleaning up. Is this where she grows her grandpa? She discovered one of the walls was covered in plastic bags. She went to investigate, intent on tearing away whatever they covered. Oh, cool. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's kind of fun. You, like... That's sick. Upon removing the plastic trash bags from the wall, she noticed the interior lining was covered in glass. Like a window, I offered. No, she said, like a mirror. Reflecting inward towards the animal they covered, I gently asked her what exactly this animal was. Here is where the material reality of the story took a turn for the explicitly fantastic and imaginary. Upon her discovery of it, at her gaze, it grew, or extended, its shaggy-haired self. Hair like the fur of a dog, I offered. No, she said. What dog? I know there's dogs that have wiry fur, but that's too prickly. To be fair, he's not looking at it like we are. Not the fur of a dog, nor the hair on her head. It grew out towards her, the animal's hair, reaching out. It was hard, standing almost straight, like the hair in a brush. A bristle, I offered. Yes, she said. She was very afraid at first, but then very curious. I asked her what else was in the room. More things hidden away, she said. Things of Grandpa's as well. First, she found a hidden passage under the stairs. Inside were strange dolls, magic objects, naked, faceless figures. I heard these cryptic utterances and merely nodded. In order to keep the game of make-believe going, I only pressed for details where I thought necessary. The faceless dolls could be a simple metaphor for the anonymity she feels in her own home. The hidden passage, I'm unsure what to make of that. Okay. Here's the problem with what this guy, I assume it's like a counselor or something making, right? Now, I know I say a lot that in some ways I feel kids and their understanding of things are underestimated. Like, sometimes you'll play a kid's game and it'll be like every 5 seconds the player is reminded of something, right? Kids more is going to stick in their heads unless it's for like a 3-year-old. But I don't think a child is going to be making up metaphors. Because, like, children read, yes, but I don't think they'd be able to understand even what a metaphor is until they're a little older. And I don't know how old Adrian is. I would, just from how they showed, she looked maybe 8 or 9. But even if for some reason she did know a metaphor, I don't think she'd be using it to the extent that the faceless dolls is because she feels faceless in her own home and like unseen. So while he, as a full adult who can understand metaphors, might be getting at that, I don't think Adrian is going to be using a doll as a metaphor. Right? It's not, she doesn't seem like she's like some mystical genius child who can understand that kind of concept. Shut up, doctor, or whoever you are playing as. The revealing of the concealed seems to be thematic in her fantasy. The door under the stairs is but one example. Alright. Go to the trash pile. So I can't pick anything up here. What's this? Oh. Okay. Once she removed the panel and found the magical hidden passage, she was very specific about what she took. She found a magic book, a magic doll, a photo of her late grandpa, and magic glue. Take the doll. Actually, let's search the closet. Alright, we'll get that in a second, but we're cleaning up here. Oh, what is this? Hold on. Papers crudely bound together to form a book. Eurasian steppe shamanism and the fusiform Jiras, an interdisciplinary study in sympathetic magic. A dissertation by Jacob Hart. The impetus of this research was the recognition of a particular pattern in fragments of documents relating to magic and magico-religious practices. Numerous sources were drawn from commentaries on laws relating to the banning of sorcery and necromancy, compilations of folk charms relating to love spells, hagiographs of saints and their encounters with devils. The list spans many centuries and a great distance, from the Levant to the Khazar Khaganate to the border of the modern nation states of Russia and Kazakhstan today. From this paper trail arose a consistent account about a certain form of magic relating to the binding of demons to a sorcerer's will. A demon called the Heaven of Needles, or the Angel of Needles, was known to be kept best by shamanic keepers or wards who suffer from face blindness, prosopagnosia, whether by birth or through developmental causes like a stroke or head injury. It was known to be extremely effective but terribly dangerous, so much so that it became outlawed several times and was generally a popular scapegoat related to unexpected death. The nexus of magico-religious meaning-making, sorcery regarding human-related desires, and the history and science of neurological disorders related to the fusiform gyrus, in which the subject of this dissertation will reside. I will outline further and then analyze the historical sources I mentioned previously. Then I will go into the neurology of mystic and magico-religious experiences. After that, I will detail my ongoing correspondence with a resident of the Ural Mountain region who is an expert folklorist and keeper of traditions he claims have been passed down through his extended family for generations. Take the glue. All-purpose glue. I feel like I have to take the doll to continue her story. A slouching doll, its material is rough and coarse. I bet this is what I used to make my grandpa. Can I really not take anything from the trash pile? I guess not. Can I pick the chair up? The darkness of the shadowy corner unnerves you. You cannot explore here without some form of light. Okay. I can't go through the door either. So wait, I guess it... Photo of your late grandfather. Mr. PhD. On the reverse side of the photograph, there's more text. Good luck on your trip to the Ural. Stay warm. I guess you have to go back multiple times to, find stuff. I like the little cleaning minigame. I interrupted to ask what she did with these magical, mysterious materials. Grow Grandpa, she explained plainly, and then without missing a beat, she continued on with her story. Feeling this was a potent symbol, I stopped her again to ask what she meant. Like... I know he'll be able to see the symbols of her story that she won't, because kids do have fantastical imaginations, as I said. But all I'm saying is that he's acting like she's making it a metaphor when truly she's not. Somewhat puzzled, I did not understand immediately. She explained slowly. Grandpa lives in the cage in the other room, the cage behind the door. They grew people in the cage. Can I find the cage? But the thing is, I can't go further until I have a light. Door. Okay, I can go in now. A hastily written note. I've repeatedly called your homes to no avail, and so I'm forced to leave this here for you all. I found William sitting in the corner of the enclosure area, seemingly severely concussed. Whiskers was gone, in none of its usual hiding places. I immediately suspected the worst. The project thus must be suspended for now. I'm leaving up the usual mirrored coverings we used to keep the anthropoidic void sealed. I've done my best to lock up everything on such short notice. It is a hasty fix, but it requires some time to find a more permanent remedy. I'm honestly hoping you do not find this note, as I intend to lock the house down too. I intend to race off to you to retrieve your lockbox keys. Do not worry about William's key. It and the rest of his equipment is almost certainly deep within Whisker's now. Oh, Whiskers. Wait. Whatever. I pray you do not enter this room, no matter how it may appear. William cannot be helped, and is only being kept alive as a means of continuing predation on the rest of us. I will say once again, no matter what state you may encounter William in, he cannot be helped. I have sympathy for the young man, I truly do, but I found on his person several photos of his late sister, which would imply certain risks he knew he was taking. Our extant research materials have now become possible liabilities, either criminal or professional in nature, so I've stashed them away. I believe I've let you all know how I might do this if we were ever to experience an event such as this. I hope you all remember what I told you. So long then. Dr. H was this. Alright, hold on. I want to... Wait. Can I not read them again? I did not know they went in order. Hey, Baked Potato, how are you doing? I, for the sake of university policy and the health of any future career you hope to have, you will abide by the non-disclosure contract you have signed. I did not read 4, and I thought I'd be able to go back to it. I wish I had read it. 2, do not break the anthropoid vacuum without my prior consultation and approval. 3, any anthropoid forms brought into the enclosure area must not be left unattended. When not in dormancy, the sample will attempt to take anthropoid shells. Please see shell notes for more on that. The sample's exposure to some of our neuronal activity is unavoidable. However, the speed at which its desirous yield is produced can be dampened by several precautions regarding libidinal and emotional urges. Keep conversation not related to lab work to a minimum. If you begin to suspect you are developing attachments to your colleagues, contact me as soon as possible. Ritual behavior with a sample, trading, bargaining will result in dismissal from the project. The precise mechanism of the exchange of symbols and gifts required for requested desired yield is not known, and even then, anecdotal accounts of success are something and in violent death. There's no way to read my old notes, unfortunately, but you know what? If we die, we die. Let's go. Beyond the door in the room, the cage is hidden, concealed in another cloak of inward-facing mirrors. I do like the little videos of us, like, I guess technically it's the little girl, Adrienne. Like, this is her memory, but I like it. A hidden cage lined with mirrors. It is strange, almost poetic, the elaborate fantasy of self-reflection, concealment, captivity. Again, he's talking about this, like... Again, I know kids have, like, fantastical fantasies, but he's truly looking at this from an adult perspective when she wouldn't understand these metaphors or even be, like, throwing a metaphor out there when it could mean something else. Dude, you're reading too much into this, and I say this as someone who reads too much into things, but... Like, if I'm dealing with a kid, I'm gonna take everything, like, at face value, because that's just how it's gonna be at, like, a certain age, because their brains aren't that as well developed and can't understand as much as we adults can. You know, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, man. At the cage, she finally cast her spell. But it was confusing, she confided at first. She took the magic doll, the magic glue, and the photo of her grandpa, and this is where we come into growing grandpa. And she combined them, and she wished very hard. I can only assume in this fantasy that next her wish would come true. In what child's story would it not? Particular human representation. Grandpa. Generic human figure. The doll. Let's glue it together. I wish my pictures worked, but whatever. A tangible symbol of intention and design. Grandpa is looking good so far. She put Grandpa in the cage, assuming that was part of the ritual. She was not clear on how it worked. What precise instructions she could glean from her grandfather's magic book was complicated by her reading comprehension. That's why I'm saying that, like, he's like reading all these metaphors into what she's saying to him, but she's like 8 at the most and can't understand a lot. She wished with all her heart, and then she told me she waited a while for something, anything to happen, and after that time she began to cry. I cried really hard, she said. I wanted Grandpa to be back. I wanted my parents to stop being so mean. And it hurt me. It hurt me wish for Grandpa to come back, for my parents to be different. I could feel it through the walls, and it felt me through the air. I asked her what exactly she meant. She could only repeat what she said. By this time, lunch was almost over. I said goodbye to Adrian, and she left to return to her class. No! I need to know now. I was left to consider our conversation. I believe the storytelling strategy I've employed was not unfruitful, but I must probe deeper if I can. Although I can be sure of nothing, I interpret the impressions I get may begin to help me get an idea of the right questions to ask. Knowledge you acquired this week has given you access to certain topics or keywords you can discuss with Grandpa. Alright, you have gained the conversation topic wish. Consider discussing this when Grandpa emerges. You also gain the following keyword. Shall. Consider discussing this when Grandpa emerges. Even for once, does the teacher think the child did not make this up and says he's watching her for some... Just because you watch something, it doesn't mean you know everything. Because the reason he's... I can understand why he thinks that she made it up. Because, as I said, children are, like, prone to fantasy, so... I disagree. He might be watching her, but he only knows so much from the time he has with her during school, so that's why he thinks it didn't happen. I met again with Adrian in order to address her emotional outbursts in the past few weeks. It's our second time meeting, and while it is standard practice to have multiple sessions with a troubled student, as I assemble a report for the counseling department, I could not help but think, as we sat down in my office, that Adrian already seemed to show a remarkable change in self-esteem and confidence, and perhaps my and Mrs. Richardson's estimation of her as emotionally disturbed was erroneous. The paralyzing shyness and withdrawn attitude Adrian possessed last week was not entirely diminished, but she seemed to hold herself differently this week. However, this only lasted as long as our conversation pertained to initial introductory pleasantries. When I began once again asking about her parents, her feelings regarding her new school and her new home, she quickly lost the new confidence she had gathered up and withdrew again into herself. So once again, I partook in some collaborative make-believe, but this time I was aided by the fact that I had managed to do some research into Adrian's grandfather, and I had some insight into what she might actually be finding in the basement. Now, this may be overstepping my bounds, some as a school counseling caseworker, but this was all in the service of making Adrian comfortable and happy in this learning environment. In any case, I was able to dig up information regarding the grandfather by inquiring at the university in town. Not that I make it a habit of sleuthing, but I have suspicion the grandfather was a professor there, or at least some sort of researcher. Due to the fact that the newly constructed laboratory on the campus I drive by every day bears his name in memorial. Professor PhD. He was some sort of anthropologist or linguist, or neuroscientist? I did not have to dig that deep before the scope of his work became dizzying, and I ran up against the limits of my undergraduate education, but back to the make-believe. What is your grandpa like? Is he a smart man? Grandpa's a fucking idiot. Not anymore, but I'm teaching him. So he's grown a good deal then. You've been feeding him well? Yeah, he's getting bigger, but he has a lot of room in his cage. He's still behind the bars. Yeah, well, he might be able to climb out eventually. There's this vent in the ceiling. Perhaps if he climbs out, I could meet him someday. Maybe, but he's not ready to leave. He can't take care of himself. I have to feed him, pick up after him. Ah, you store the food in your lunchbox? That's nice of you to share. It's a cute lunchbox. He can almost talk. You cannot speak with him. He doesn't have a mouth, sort of. But how do you feed him? What if he eats via his butthole? He has a mouth on the outside, on his shell, or the stuff that's his skin. I'm a little confused. Maybe you can go through a typical day with your grandpa. Okay. I asked her to explain how exactly she goes about growing her grandpa, and Adrian began another tale. According to Adrian, in the week that had passed, much had changed in the basement. The hairy thing was here before. The hairy thing that was here before is gone. Alright, let's go see Grandpa. Grandpa, wakey wakey. It was scary at first, she said. The way he moved, the way the doll's skin covered him. I wanted to interject, but this somehow seemed inappropriate. I kept listening. When I look at him, she continued, when I think about him, he grows and moves. It's like he is growing for me. Aw. So he's growing bigger now, I asked. Yes, she said. Bigger every day. This begins the actual growing part of growing your grandpa. Beneath the doll's burlap skin, the follicles knit together what resembles a proper person, your grandpa. You are in charge of its cognitive development and diet until it is able to sustain itself. Currently, you're observing Grandpa. Please click the arrow back button below for a brief tutorial of your duties as a caretaker. Alright. Here we can see a variety of options regarding growing your grandpa. This sounds fun. It's like a Tamagotchi. Highlighted in red are objectives related to feeding and teaching Grandpa. Important messages regarding Grandpa's recent activity will also appear here. You'll need to find a food and learning material before you can move on to the next week. Some foods will make Grandpa happy, others merely content. Some food will make Grandpa disgusted to the point of nausea. Learning material is also scattered throughout the basement. Seek out vocabulary cards intended to help teach English and basic anthropoidic concept information. The options highlighted in red are related to navigating around Grandpa's enclosure. Then go to Grandpa option will let you perform all actions directly related to Grandpa. Feeding, teaching, observing, etc. Accessing the study corner will let you go over any documents you pick up as the weeks go by. It's a good idea to learn about the work of the people who last occupied the space. Accessing the kitchen corner will let you search for food in the old refrigerator and prepare food for Grandpa if need be. The help button will replace tutorial. The save game button will save your current progress. You can only have one save file at a time, so if you have save data, you'll be asked if it's okay to overwrite it. The exit game button will take you back to the main. How come the exit game button never actually lets you exit the game? Either have it give you an option of main menu or actually exiting the game, but I'm so sick of the game saying exit game when it just takes you to the main menu. You need to... Developers, I'm sure you would make so many people happy if you would just stop assuming everyone wants to go to the main menu and just have something pop up that says either go to main menu or quit the game. More buttons may or may not appear depending on your development of Grandpa, so watch out for them. One final note, take care to explore the basement at your leisure. However, due to the entropic nature of clutter and trash, different weeks may allow you to find things you had not previously discovered. Good luck! Alright, let's save the game. Alright, explore the basement. Oh, that... Okay, I didn't... Oh, what's the bulbous growth? Something appears to be growing from the wall. You take a closer... Ew. A pulsating sac. The slimy membrane that is its skin seems to contain something. Might be able to be opened with a blade. Alright, I don't have a blade, but I can. Corroded battery. This isn't really food. Grandpa might eat it, however. Good on Grandpa. Bless him. He's a hungry man. Oh, I can say hello to Grandpa! Teach Grandpa this word to read the notes of past educators. Let's teach Grandpa to speak with us. Trash. If she gets eaten by Grandpa, I'm gonna blame her parents for being so rude. And always, like, being mean to her. I'll clean. Space will not be dirty again until next week. What is this? It looks edible. Grandpa might like this. We're gonna give Grandpa some blueberries. Are there dolls in here? Before we begin, he had us cover our faces completely, an earthenware pot on the inside. As we stole glances at it, we could see the interior was inlaid with mirrors. The something gave it small pieces of dough, spoiled food, meat, keeping it. I did not read it because I pressed the wrong button. That's really fucking annoying. I accidentally pressed the left button instead of the right button. Is there a way to, like, go back to the notes you collect? Please let there be. Alright, how do I get to the little option menu that I was at before? Because that truly is not ideal if you press the wrong thing. Okay, at a study corner, thank you. I thought so, but I'm like, I don't remember off the top of my head. A simple paper doll. This might be useful in the construction of magic symbols. Alright, let's teach Grandpa to talk. Did I go to this trash pile? No. Oh. A folder full of radiographic images. You can examine this in detail later at the study corner. Just let me examine it now. This isn't really food. Grandpa might eat it, however. Good for Grandpa. So, somehow I feel Grandpa's not gonna like the normal human food of blueberries. Okay. Alright, let's read this note that I missed before. Regarding growth cycles, every time Whiskers regenerates and leaves dormancy, it is to be logged as a new propagation. The sample's bodily existence cannot be something, i.e. a part cannot be cut from the whole, so there can only be one living propagation. Propagations are to be terminated after 5 weeks. Any further development puts us at risk. Termination procedures will be posted and followed with extreme care. With all that out of the way, I want to welcome you to the project. I look forward to working with you, Dr. Hart. Chicken feed, keeping it content. The keeper gestured towards the small bag where the food composted and told us to be careful not to feed it any meat. I asked if the rotting food was enough to sustain it, how it might get nutrients from any of this. The keeper regarded me seriously and said it did not matter what it was fed. The act of feeding itself was what mattered. The act of feeding flesh is another act, however. He then gave me another series of grave warnings regarding not keeping any animal-derived foods near where I might be keeping it. Okay. Don't feed it meat. Got it. Alright. I'm gonna teach Grandpa to say hello. Hello. Would you like to view the tutorial? Yes, let's view the tutorial. This brief tutorial will go over teaching Grandpa pronunciation and vocalization. The vocabulary word you picked will appear in the bottom left corner. In the bottom right corner will be a pentagon that is divided up into 8 sections. A section of the pentagon will be highlighted briefly. A notification sound will play, and soon another section will be highlighted. You will control a small round icon that sits above the pentagon by using your mouse. The ball is constrained to the limits of the pentagon. The goal is to keep your icon over the highlighted area and move it as the area changes sections around the pentagon. When you hold left click above the correct highlighted area, the icon will start to vibrate along with the simulated vocal cords, and the current letter of your word will begin to turn red. Keep holding over the highlighted section and adjust your icon as it changes place. Soon the letter will become fully red. After every letter becomes red, Grandpa will proudly pronounce the word to you, and it will be considered learned. Teaching Grandpa these words will accelerate its cognitive development and lead to further breakthroughs in general intelligence. You approach the small window. It's so hard to see. Why red? Strain membranes phonate confidently. Cause like we need to start using colors that aren't red or reddish. Having completed the lesson, you take a look at the back of the vocabulary module card and the notes there written by administrators of the past. Hello, part of vocabulary and vocalization module A2, conversational basics, general pronunciation comments, sloppy articulation. We are already encountering some difficulty as Whisker's subjectivity is so much determined by a diverse and dynamic array of influences. It attempts to mimic the thoughts and desires it passively intercepts, and these imitations go on to structure the basis of its identity. Only later in Whisker's growth cycle does it begin to form an identity, or identities, that are coherent and capable of resembling a sane, rational human being when engaged in conversation. One must imagine how hard it would be to converse with someone who is not yet oriented in one particular way towards who or how they are, because they may have 20 different honest answers to those questions, all of them mixed and muddled together. Because of this, we have started with the basics of conversation: greetings, partings, identifying one another, forming questions, etc., etc. It is fortunate Whisker's current growth, number 19, I believe, has developed a mostly accurate human mouth simulation. Hello was a bit of a challenge in the previous growth as it had failed to develop an adequate organ to act as a human tongue. You step away from the bars and store the module card at the document table. Alright, let's go to the kitchen. Let's search the fridge. Bridger? Let me figure this out for myself, thank you. I would love to figure this out, and just, if I mess up, that's okay. But being told what to do does not make a game fun for anyone. Lettuce. Let's make Grandpa a salad. What's this? A banana. A brown banana. Let's give banana and battery, because they both start with B. The battery's concealed in the browning banana flesh. Alright, let's feed Grandpa. Would you like to... Sure. This brief tutorial will go over the basics of feeding Grandpa. Via induction of your unprotected insula, Grandpa has simulated the production of tooth enamel to mimic a human mouth. It will need to be fed through this in order to properly learn and grow. First, you'll need to select an item from the lunchbox. Click on the lunchbox in the bottom right corner. The contents of the lunchbox will be displayed. Select an item from the lunchbox. Doing so will fill your hand with this item. Note that any food can be put back into the lunchbox by clicking on the lunchbox with a full hand. Before Grandpa can be fed, it must judge the food by smell. Hover your hand above Grandpa's olfactory bulbs. If Grandpa is pleased, it will allow you to feed it. Most foods Grandpa will accept. However, getting Grandpa to consume other things requires some culinary deception. When Grandpa is willing to be fed, hover your hand over its mouth and click. Grandpa will then consume the food. Good luck on feeding Grandpa. Alright, oh, Grandpa's sitting in a chair. How cute. You approach the small window. Okay. Why even bother with words if it just skips immediately? Grandpa's enticed. Okay. Oh, okay. The meal appears to have been sufficient. Can I pet Grandpa? You step away from the window set in the bars. Grandpa grunts in appreciation and locomotes towards its favorite corner. Alright, one digestible food. Oh, actually, I can give it something else. Hold on. Something, the window. Although quickly consumed, the meal seems to be causing some indigestion. And with sudden lurch, Grandpa empties its stomach onto the floor. I'm so sorry, Grandpa. The contents pool together in front of the cage. Oh, Grandpa, I'm sorry. I should have just left it with the normal food. Grandpa makes a plaintive whine, clearly disappointed at the lack of sustenance. It dejectedly locomotes back to its favorite corner. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna give it, like... Oh, give it acceptable foods. I have some lettuce. Let's examine the stomach contents. Oh, a key. We want this. It's still somewhat wet, by the way. This may help you explore more of the basement. Okay, let's go. Alright, let's feed Grandpa. Let's give it the lettuce. Flaky and stiff, but I'm sure still good. It will say it's hunger, but that's all. The meal appears to have been sufficient. Okay, thank you, Grandpa. That's me petting you. You step away from the window set in the bars. Grandpa grunts in appreciation and locomotes to its corner. Alright, we fed Grandpa. Let's save. We fed Grandpa. I'm gonna take a quick break to go to the bathroom. And then we're gonna keep taking care of I like how it's like, Grandpa recently barfed. Alright. But yeah, I'm going to go. And then we'll be back and we'll keep exploring the basement and hanging out with Grandpa. So, be right back. Boop. The hairy thing that was here before is gone. Okay. Still need a light for, like, over here. pulsating sac grows in this corner of the basement. It seems like it could easily be open to the sharp edge. I mean, I can use the key. All right. Okay, so I can't go back there. That looks a lot like the first trash pile. Something about the painting. Oops, that's not where I wanted to be. Slouch under the weight of rot and refuse. I don't know why there are dolls in this cabinet. You try the safe's lock with the key you found. I forgot there was a safe, and it pops open. A photo of your mother as a young woman. The recognition of this face kicks off a cascade of emotion and meaning deep within your psyche. I can't grab anything else? Alright, let's observe Grandpa. You examine Grandpa, noting its movements, respiration, and general mood. Grandpa seems sort of sluggish and bored. You get the feeling it may be more content and readily cooperative once fed and taught a word or two. Okay. A tangible symbol of intention and desire. Here is a mother doll. Grandpa doesn't appear to be interested at the moment. Can I teach it about mother? I feel like the key should be sharp enough. Alright, a sharp edge. And this is too dark, so I can't go so far. I like how it gets very dirty on a weekly basis. I like to assume Grandpa gets up from behind his cage. Alright, I'm gonna do that thing Bridger said. But then, as I said, after that, no one help. Read the rules. If I ask, I want help. You slip the radiographic images you found onto the machine's display. Alright, propagation day 14 after dormancy. Something vacuum, notes in detail. Exposure to mammalian forms, part of a series of zoomorphic influences, led to further understanding of the propagation's ability to simulate the somatic stem cells that constitute fully developed animals. I write simulate in the previous statement because examining the tissue of each propagation leads me to believe its amazing capacity for accelerated growth of vastly different forms comes from its cell-level ability. And yet, at no time does it function as the thing it becomes, except in the sense that it mimics it. That is to say, when Whiskers is removed from dormancy and replicates a rabbit's morphology, it is not seen from the rabbit's eyes nor smelling from the rabbit's nose, but pretending that it does and doing a very good job of it. Okay, I don't know what that had to... Oh, I see. This radiograph was taken at around growth cycle 4. The strange thing about it was that the subject of the image was found nowhere near the enclosure. It's almost like a piece of Whiskers fell off and scurried into the corner. I feel like we've learned a lot since then, but at the time, I remember speaking about the morphology being weird, not even resembling any extent zoomorphic structure, besides maybe a cuttlefish. Then I happened to open the thing up. Inside were all these little dead amoeba-like things, but they all sort of looked like they had faces that were just barely there. After I took the radiograph, I gathered it up and went to go through it in the biohazard bin. As I walked by the bars of the enclosure, I could hear Whiskers suddenly going wild, flopping around and grunting excitedly. Could it have smelled the cuttlefish thing? Would it eat its own production? I guess it's technically flesh. Didn't it say, like, don't feed it flesh, though? This is beyond the scope of the project, but it could be that without the stimulus of an active brain, or more specifically, a healthy and active brain capable of face recognition and theory of mind, Whiskers begins to pull whatever it can from the limited data available to it. Again, this is not our focus at this time, but I'd love to know for Dr. Hart, just in case you want to take a look. Intriguing results with regard to the mimic hypothesis. A participant entered a sealed chamber adjacent to Whiskers, growth cycle 21, which had been freed from the anthropoidic vacuum, constructed quite economically from plastic and broken mirrors. The first propagation's original earthenware vacuum was shattered during the move-in. Between the two, there was a semi-opaque glass panel that allowed observation both ways. The human participant was asked to think of someone in the popular consciousness, fictional or no, and cogitate on their image, personality, face if possible, voice if possible, etc. Our participant chose Jesus. I was thinking Jesus. Jesus of Nazareth, and with weekly repeated exposures to the participant's imaging, propagation number 21 began forming, resembled an anthropoid Nazarene in the fold of its spines. Previous human-oriented tests have always bore out a result that Whiskers would form anthropoid team member, be it me or Dr. Hart or Gerald, and we assumed it was merely mimicking one of us. Dr. Hart has always contended the desirous yield, or the anthropoid reproduction Whiskers creates when in contact with human beings, has always been based on the conception and relation to the person through someone else. With this framework, the desirous yield is not actually a replica of a person, or if it is only a replica of the fiction of a person generated in the mind of another. We had taken a calling at Whiskers. Okay, I did it out of order, but who cares? Though, of course, some have interpreted it as hair or needles or quills, but Whiskers is more accurate, as the needles are really more like supersensory follicles or spines. The nerve nets distributed throughout the morphology of these spines resemble those of genus Hydra, but have myelin sheaths that are functionally the same as vertebrae. As we can see in the X-ray, each spine is laden with dense optical arrangements similar to compound eyes. The Hydra connection is assuredly worth investigating with regard to the organism's capacity for generation and anecdotal deathlessness. It certainly is a robust enough creature to inspire marvel that is not untinged with fear. Alright, so there was honestly no point in doing that. Other than lore, I guess. Oh, educational posters. A set of procedures regarding disposal interment. You can examine this in detail. Okay, but I want to read it now. The researcher will seal off the enclosure bars, ensuring minimal gas leakage during the later fumigating process, and then retrieve the burn barrel and place it near the enclosure. Allow at least 48 hours of time where the current growth cycle experiences no human-related stimuli. Do not enter the enclosure area nor any part of the basement. Ideally, you will not be on the grounds at all. After 48 hours, 2 researchers will enter the basement wearing their assigned mirror mask, mirror apron, and powered air purifying respirator. The researcher will use the vent system to fumigate the enclosure area. Wait 30 minutes and then use the fan system to ventilate the enclosure. Keep the fans running during steps 3 and 4. Re-enter the enclosure area wearing your assigned mirror masks and aprons. The organism may or may not be in complete dormancy. If it is not in full dormancy, be assured that its capacity to act against you will be greatly diminished. With your assigned powered drills, quickly remove any enclosure bars needed to access the organism. Put them aside for later reinstallation. Put the organism into the burn barrel. Incinerate the organism thoroughly. Wait for any smoke to be properly cleared by the fan system. Turn off the fans. One researcher will retrieve the nucleus from the ash and place it in the mirror box. The other researcher will sift through the ash and place any other substantial remains in the biohazard bin in the room outside of the enclosure area. The bin is locked for safety purposes. The code is 323245. The researchers will fill out a termination form and leave it for Dr. Hart. 323245. Sick. I can talk about biohazard bin with Grandpa. Cool. Alright, let's go. So I can't touch anything else in here, I guess. I need a light, though. This looks just like the other trash bin. And it really won't let me use the key against the bulbous growth. Alright, so I need another word. I feel like the bulbous growth might have something. Something about the painting looks strange. Nothing's leading up, but like... I don't know. I can't believe you can't do anything with this other stuff. I just wanted to see what the difference was. I feel like there's not that much of a difference. That's not what I meant. Nope. Hmm. All right, with a sharp edge. I guess going here won't help, and I can't talk to Grandpa yet, and I have nothing to help Grandpa learn any new words. I forgot where I... Oh, I didn't search the file cabinets. I could have given this to Grandpa. Grandpa probably would have loved the cashews. I wonder if I can keep them for next week. Alright. It was said to pass from one family of steppe people to another, but pressed on its ultimate origin. Somewhere to the south, coiled in a bowl covered in incantations, buried upside down by a graveyard, a common late antiquity demon trap. The keeper, an elderly man in failing health, was ready to expound on and on about the dangers of the organism, but when I asked more pointed questions about the history of its acquisition, I was given curt responses that had a way of circling back to vague warnings. Alright, so it was only two. Alright, let's go back to the cabinets because I think I misunderstood and thought I was looking at files, not file cabinets. This. Grandpa! I can teach Grandpa his name. Teach Grandpa this word to read the notes of past educators. Alright, so from my understanding of what those things said, the little girl should not be down here. But you know what? This little girl has no friends because her parents suck. So, like, she's making a friend, and she's allowed. Grandpa's done nothing wrong. You remove the tape down fabric to reveal the cabinet's wooden bottom. Notation regarding sample exoskeletons. Research participants, please take note. Each growth from a cycle does not require a shell, but you may find the sample will often try and seize on something somewhat flexible it can grow into, along with any desired yield it may generate. Or else it will move from one shell to the next as it outgrows them. In the small amount of time I've spent with it in preparation, I have noticed it tends towards human forms. However, we should keep a tight lid on the anthropoidic seal in order to be cautious before we begin to experiment with exposing it long-term to anthropoid stimuli. Alright. Alright, cleanup procedures. To my colleague, I don't mean to be overly severe in tone, but Dr. Hart's work is very important and the material we are working with is potentially very dangerous. I will be handing out a copy of this note as a reminder to everyone. I'm not trying to single any particular person out. We all have misconceptions about the nature of this project from time to time. With that out of the way, here are some things to keep in mind. The active growth must be thoroughly terminated via the correct procedures at the very least 4 weeks after dormancy is interrupted. It doesn't matter what you've done or haven't done regarding tests or procedures or how much the anthropoidic vacuum has been disrupted, we are not ready to go beyond 4 weeks at this point. A step-by-step guide to termination has been posted by the enclosure wall. Please, please, please do not place the educational posters over this posting. Too late. Do not disrupt the anthropoidic vacuum without Dr. Hart's prior consultation and approval. In case of any emergency where the vacuum is disrupted, put on your equipment and begin the lockdown procedure. Make an extensive note of when and how the breach occurred. If you find the habitat empty, page Dr. Hart immediately, but do not attempt to speak with anyone else. This thing can get very smart. I'm sure you're all well aware from the stories we heard on our acquisition trip. The greatest caution should be used when dealing with a potential aggressive mimicry scenario. Please seek me out if you have any more questions. My God. All right, Grandpa, I have a new word to teach you. All right. I'm so proud of my little baby grandpa. Having completed the lesson, you take a look at the back of the vocabulary module card and the notes that are written by administrators of the past. Grandpa, part of vocabulary and vocalization module E81 family, general pronunciation comments, usual trouble with articulation, voice thin/raspy, possibly underdeveloped larynx. We've done several sessions of what we are calling familial relation simulation. I and a co-researcher sit in chairs opposite the enclosure. We are wearing the usual masks, and we begin to act out a scene, mostly through improvisation that might roughly resemble a kitchen table conversation between an immediate family. Repeated trials would reveal, although our simulated conversation was purposely vague and unspecific regarding persons and identities, we would only address each other as brother, father, sister, etc., etc. It would soon become apparent the encoded information and associations we unconsciously drawn upon when hearing and speaking these words was being picked up on by Whiskers and its psi-type field of reception/interpretation of brain/mind event/semantic content. My co-researcher William noticed this in a simulation where Whiskers was given a role as a sister and he as a brother. I was the father. Whiskers began responding to certain prompts with unusual specificity, as well as a general pattern and timbre of speech that continued with unusual consistency. As soon as the simulation ended and we left the enclosure area, William let me know that Whiskers was almost certainly drawing from encoded memories of his late sister. Mapping out exactly what regions and centers of neural activity are intercepted by the psi-type field will take extensive neuroimaging that we do not have at this site. Currently, we only have less precise portable equipment. However, our experiences so far are eerily in line with folk knowledge and folk explanations regarding this being's access to desires, and we begin to infer it has access to certain portions of the limbic system and the ventral temporal cortex. You step away from the bars and store the module card at the document table. All right, Grandpa. Let's talk to Grandpa. Grandpa accedes to your request. It approaches the bars and begins to unknit its skin. The inner Grandpa, though still not fully formed, is revealed. It may be fruitful to speak with it if it can respond. Let's ask about the biohazard bin. With a great deal of effort, Grandpa gurgles fragmented thoughts through its ill-formed lips. However, it fails to produce more than a wet and frustrated sputtering sound. Skin. My body. All human skin around me. Give more. Grow more to fit. Alright, let's ask about wish. The great deal of effort. Yep, he's always gonna gargle through his ill-formed lips. Mother. Will. Father. New lives out of the air. The dark spiny filaments that make up the majority of Grandpa's body begin to oscillate rapidly. The air behind your eyes, I can taste it. Bye, Grandpa. Grandpa silently ascends back to its shell. Alright, Grandpa. What if we observe Grandpa? Alright, Grandpa is ready to cooperate. Alright, that's all we can really do. We asked Grandpa about everything, so let's end the week. Yes, I would like to end the week. If it's a mistake, oh well. Alright, food acquired, batteries, blueberries, fiberglass, insulation, lettuce, banana, concealed. I'm gonna stop giving Grandpa gross things. I'm just gonna give him nice things. Alright, a lot of stuff acquired. Knowledge you acquired this week has given you access to a new conversation topic to discuss with Grandpa. Language. Alright, week 3. We talked to Grandpa about how he feels about language. Mrs. Richards approached me the other day in order to remark on Adrian's development. She noted how much more at ease she appeared when called upon in class or when asked to participate in group exercises. I told her I had seen this change happening as well, and that as much as I would like to take credit for it, I can only guess dimly at what might be reshaping her attitude. Miss Richards posited that it was perhaps Adrian's family moving into their grandfather's property that caused the change. It apparently is out in the country, in a wooded area full of wide open space and far from the bustle and noise of the city. The grandfather, Dr. Jacob Hart, had jointly purchased the land with the university he was employed with and began constructing what he was intending to be a satellite campus for a burgeoning psychological anthropology program he had a hand in establishing. Only one building ever ended up being constructed after Dr. Hart died in a car accident when driving back from the property one day. Eerily, at almost the exact same time, a grad student who was assisting Dr. Hart on some sort of project of the property vanished without a trace. Interesting. Also, Graham is never mentioned. The property sat in disuse for years as it was tied up in legal battles between Dr. Hart's next of kin, the university, the vanished grad student's family, and the other students Dr. Hart was working with. Wouldn't he have left a will? Being like, who owns it if he was the owner? Eventually, the case was settled out of court. Only recently did the property fall into the possession of Adrian's mother. Obviously, I was not going to relate this whole tragic story to Adrian, who for all I know believes her grandpa to still be living in the basement of his home. Besides, I thought she might already know all of this. She's like 8. Why would she need to know? That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, the university fighting for it because it's where he was doing all this research into whiskers, the weird fleshy whatever that were growing, fine. The family, obviously, but like, the assistant, why would the assistant's family get it? Technically, why would the university get it even if Grandpa was working on his facility? If he was so smart, he really would have just written down somewhere, in the case of my sudden passing. And I guess maybe when he left, he was going to write a will. Maybe that's the issue. But I mean, to be fair, I don't know a lot of legal stuff. And it was clearly just Adrian's mother. But yeah, I really think a will would have done all that. And again, why would an 8-year-old... Like, this stuff is so beyond an 8-year-old's understanding. Because, again, they're 8. Why would a parent even tell their child about it? The character you play as, when you're not technically playing as Adrian, taking care of Grandpa and exploring, I don't like this guy. I'll be real with you. Like, I don't have to like him. He's just telling the story to you. But he assumes Adrian knows way more than an 8-year-old should. And he puts way more of he projects his thought process onto Adrian too much, considering the comprehension of an 8-year-old. Anyway, I do like the writing though. I have to say the writing is a nice touch. I think if you can write well, you don't need imagery, because the description that the writings get build it in your head, and sometimes that can be like, the thought of it could be way worse than actually seeing it. It can be very visceral, and I enjoy it a lot. This is the winner of the day. As I said, no one lives in the lighthouse I wanted to like, but the movement was so janky, it ruined it. And Mothered was unfortunately not working on stream. I'll take a look and see if I can fix it, but this is a good game. As you said, Jasiro, it's weird, but like good weird. Yeah, the collision was, it was so bad. I was actually, as I said, very shocked no one mentioned it at all in the reviews. And there are a lot of good reviews. Because I know that because there is unfortunately no neutral review, I know that some people will still use a good review and be like, by the way, here are the cons of the game. But yeah, the collision really ruined the, like, how I was feeling about it, unfortunately, because I wanted to like it. Perhaps the elaborate story she was constructing was her own way of escaping the morbid details of a life, or perhaps lives, cut short by the cruel force of fate and the cynical adults who squabbled in the aftermath. Now, the reason that we can say this all happened is because the truth is we are seeing everything happen. So it's the omniscient narrator is telling us that this is true. And that is why I can 100% understand that this counselor or whoever might not fully believe Adrian. Because it is so fantastical and not anything he's run into. Because when someone's talking to you, generally you have enough life experience to kind of call out like absurdities or, you know, what she's on about, which does sound like a fucked up childish fantasy. But that's why I don't take issue with the fact that the main character doesn't quite 100% believe her. We know it happens, but he's just getting a story. I determined perhaps the storytelling she was and continues to engage in should not be encouraged by me, at least not in the way I went about it, where I made active inquiries into her strange fantasy of a semi-sentient ball of skin. When I saw Adrian, I did not bring up her grandpa or ask questions about his growth. Adrian could not stop talking about it, however. I had no choice but to weather her bizarre and enthusiastic effusions about her new best friend. That is true. If, like, he's not actively talking about it, but she keeps going on anyway, it might be a better way of doing it. You know, so that he's not, like, leading her into it, and it's more of her telling the story. Adrian, maybe we can talk about something else. I'm not sure I'm following you exactly. He's gotten so big. He has so many whiskers that come out and I can see them move around when I think about him. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm so happy Grandpa's back. He's so much cooler than Mom and Dad. Once again, for what it's worth, I've put down the story she told me as best as I could. Adrian once again told me about growing her grandpa. That's such a weird way of describing it. Like, it's the way of describing it because it is up to me, the player, to feed Grandpa. And I think I'm gonna assume that you can find different words and you decide which ones you're going to be teaching Grandpa. The hairy thing is still gone. Alright. Let's go clean up. I don't have anything for the bulbous growth yet. Oh, okay, we're feeding Grandpa a kiwi. Until I run into more things that I might like more, I think Grandpa might love a kiwi. But, like, again, how's this shit getting here? Is my question. Alright. I will suspend my disbelief because, like, it's not the end of the world if they don't explain it, but I'm a little curious if they will explain it. Alright. I wonder if there's speedruns of this game. Like, people scrambling to clean up all the mess. Damn, nothing. Is there a knife or something? Or, like, a flashlight I can use? Because I'd like to find more goodies for Grandpa. This. Life. I can talk to Grandpa about life. It's a hard knock life for us. It's a oh, what is this? Is this an apple? It's a potato. Wait. Wait, is there another bulbous growth? Or is this the same? Yeah, another pulsating sac grows in this corner of the basement. Alright, so it's another one. I really want to find a knife and get rid of this bulbous growth. Well, both bulbous growths. Oh, another card. Indecision. I don't want to teach Grandpa about indecision. He might get nervous. I want Grandpa to grow up healthy and strong and, you know, not face the cruelties of life if I can help it. I still have this key. Oh, I wonder if items here means I've used them already. Alright, so I still have the cash. You know what? We're gonna give Grandpa a kiwi and some cashews, because the kiwi will have some nutrients, and the cashews will give him a little bit of protein. It's not because I'm not a fan of potatoes, but I don't think Grandpa needs the starch, you know? I don't want Grandpa to get fat, and potatoes are a bit caloric. Though, if she had an air fryer, that would be a completely different answer, because if I found a knife, I could cut the potato thin, fry the little things, and I can give Grandpa some potato chips. Which still isn't healthy, but potato chips are great. I can do mashed potatoes, and I can do potato chips. Other than that, I don't like potatoes. I can also explore the, cabinets. There might be more things to teach Grandpa. I really don't want to talk about indecision with him if I don't have to. Like, again, I know it's a part of life, but I want to only teach Grandpa about the good, happy parts of life, which isn't realistic. You know, you need to learn about that vomit. You need to know about the sad parts of life, too, but this is my Grandpa I'm growing. Wait. Alright. Oh, we got... Okay, so we're gonna Feed Grandpa everything then. Alright, let's save. Let's go to Grandpa. Let's observe Grandpa. Grandpa's gums are bleeding slightly and his skin seems overly dry. It may need a food packed with vitamin C. A kiwi fruit would be an excellent remedy. Alright, I have a kiwi. Sorry, Grandpa. Grandpa quickly sidles over to meet you. I think it's because I gave him the banana last time. Grandpa seems indifferent to the smell, but will accept this meal. Here you go. This meal appears to have been sufficient. Alright. Alright, Grandpa, I have other things. Here's a potato. I like that shows you Grandpa eating it. For insulating... Okay, we're gonna feed him cashews. I don't know why it feels the need to keep telling me how to feed Grandpa. You step away from the window set in the bars. Alright. Save. Grandpa liked the food. Go to Grandpa. We're gonna teach Grandpa. We're gonna teach you about life. Alright. I did it pretty well this time. He's getting so good at speaking. I'm so proud of Grandpa. I mean, it sounded rumbly, but he did it. Having completed the lesson, you take a look at the back of the vocabulary module, blah, 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 blah. Life, part of vocabulary and vocalization module, concept formation. It's a very proud moment. I can't wait to see how Grandpa and I have conversations. At week 3 of growth, number 24 Whiskers appeared to recall some information from a previous growth cycle. We cannot be sure that this was really the case. For all we know, what we interpreted as its recollecting this information was really it drawing semantic content from one of our recollections of it and redeploying it without rationality or contextualization. For the sake of our safety and for the sake of scientific inquiry, we are attempting to draw out from Whiskers whether it somehow retains knowledge from previous cycles in its morpholactic nucleus. We did not think it was possible the nucleus, though complex and incredible in its regenerative abilities, was capable of this, and that the nerve network that grew from it made up the base of Whiskers' mind. And so we are now attempting to ask Whiskers, as best we can, if it has ever died, or what it might remember if it did. But we'll never know. I wonder... Feed Grandpa. Alright. I guess we will teach the word indecision. Alright. Just don't remove your letter. Or your letter. Sounds so good. Because I think the mistake I made is for some reason I thought I had to stop pressing the left mouse button and Grandpa was forgetting some of the responses. Alright, Grandpa, you've done it. Indecision is a hard word. Indecision, part of vocabulary and vocalization module F23, theory of mind. General pronunciation comments, articulation problems, possible trouble with diphthongs, whatever that is. We're introducing the largest growth of whiskers to more subtle social cues and testing its ability to judge mental states of participants in conversation. The semantic content that flows to whiskers via its psi field is still becoming muddled and slipped without distinction into conversation, although our intention of instilling it a solid theory of mind will perhaps make it begin to understand that we do not know what it knows or know what we are without our control sending to it. One would think a theory of mind seems to develop as part of its maturation process. In order to hunt sapient beings, it must be able to deceive them. In order to deceive, it must be able to make certain metacognitive judgments. For example, if their deception appears to be working or how one ought to be deceived. We may never see it develop a theory of mind anytime soon, as Dr. Hart has disallowed a cycle of whiskers growth to live into the beginnings of maturity. Yeah, I think there was a note, like, after 4 weeks, fucking kill it, or burn it, or something. I'm starting to think Grandpa didn't have a car accident, but perhaps the university murdered him to continue with whiskers growth. I'm really thinking that Grandpa's not a good guy. Oh, I never went to go talk to Grandpa. Hold on. Can I close the game and then get back in? Because I did just save. I meant to go see if I can get Grandpa out of his shell. Okay. Oh, it resets your hand type every time. I pressed the wrong button. Alright, continue. Okay. Go to Grandpa. Let's communicate with Grandpa. Hey, Grandpa. We asked about the bid now. Grandpa still struggles somewhat to speak due to its underdeveloped tongue, mouth, and jaw. However, it manages to rasp out an answer. They kept putting me in a box, sleeping, and then set a light, and then in a box in the corner in the darkness. Most of you couldn't read then. The scribe came and wrote what everyone said. They wrote on strips of bark with thin reeds. No, it was not that. It was a paper posted somewhere. It had words to open the box. I was half dead in the box. The part of me that dies was put there for a long time. That part of me and other things they threw in. A refuse pile, papers they discarded. Oh, Grandpa! Grandpa's very smart. Ask about language. Grandpa is old. My lives were easier before I made myself to speak and before he made clothes to wear and rules to disobey. Your grandpa remembers. I've learned much in many lives and deaths. Keep speaking with me. I love talking with you and learning from you. And it helps your grandpa so much, Grandpa! And I love learning from Grandpa. Soon I will be everything you would like me to be. Can I ask about Grandpa Shell? Does he say anything different? Something to grow in. My skin is not the doll skin. My skin is not like your skin either. I can still feel your eyes on me inside. My shell, I have many eyes to see, but I don't need them as much as I need your eyes with which I can understand as seeing me. There is a cycle of attention. You give me myself, but I'm still not that. Slowly I form a human shape, and you see me more as human, and I become that. Aw. I feel like I kind of want to give him some insulation to keep him warm. Alright, let's give Grandpa the insulation. Here, Grandpa. That won't hurt him, right? Like, I don't know if it's what I'm thinking of, but I'm thinking it's like the pink soft stuff you see in walls. That looks very soft, and I pray we don't hurt Grandpa when we feed it to him. Because, like, if it insulates homes, it keeps it warm, right? And I want Grandpa to be warm and happy. Yeah. That's what I think about. Sorry, Grandpa, for... Oh, he doesn't want to eat it. Yeah. Yeah, I think he doesn't like it, so we can't feed it to him. Okay, actually, I know. I'm sorry, Grandpa. Let's go to the kitchen and see if we can find anything. Alright, Grandpa might like the pear. Oh. Okay. Sorry, Grandpa. I don't know what I gave him before, but I didn't need to. But... let's save, because I would feel bad if I somehow killed Grandpa, but this is for his own good. Oh my god, he's so cute. He might throw it up. He might not. I don't know. Didn't he... isn't that what happened? He, like, threw up the battery and fed him? Oh, I could have given him this... okay, I need to check the kitchen before I feed him, because I don't think he needed the potato. Alright, so maybe next time I'll give it to him. I fed him too much right now. That's me. I forgot to check the kitchen before I fed... but you know what? He'll be fine next week. That's okay. Let's end the week. We'll do it. We're learning. Alrighty. Life and indecision. This is a very fascinating game. The time I have to spend compiling an evaluation on Adrian is almost up, and I still can't say what to make of her changes in mood. We're running out of time. I have to give Grandpa the fiberglass. It is, of course, the case that children of Adrian's age are nowhere near finished learning and growing. I may have to simply be happy that Adrian was able to improve her attitude. However, something in the odd and occasionally grotesque stories she continues to bring up to me still strike me as meaningful. How's your week been, Adrian? Grandpa's almost ready. He's almost finished. Well, sort of. Uh-oh. Ah. He's almost as big as his shell now. He has a face, and he can talk pretty well and almost has legs. I see. As before, I have put down the story she told me as best I could. Once again, Adrian told me about growing her grandpa. So, another question I have... I will really hope that Adrian's parents did not know about the thing they were working on in the basement, because that would be real fucked if they knew that Grandpa was in the basement and they were sending Adrian down there to a thing that could potentially eat and or mimic / become her. So... like, as I said, I already know they're mean. I still, if they're gonna be so cold and, like, send her off because she's just... I don't know if she was asking why they were fighting or what, but it's like, don't have kids. If you don't want kids, don't have kids. You know? Or, like... because sometimes you're young and you're like, I don't want kids, because you're young. A lot of young people don't want kids, but there's some that do. But then you grow up and you're like, yeah, let's have some kids. It could be fine. But Because it's one thing where you can want a kid, but like work reasons or life reasons, whatever, you can't always spend the most time with them because you're busy with whatever. And that's one thing. Because I feel like even with that, you could try your damnedest to still love and be good and nurturing as best you can. But like they straight up don't seem to give a shit about her or wonder why she's in the basement for hours. Or even go to check up on her. You know, as I said, my own basement was a playroom for me and my sisters. But now and then, like, mom or dad would still check on us now and then just to, like, I don't know, make sure we didn't roll into somewhere weird or something. Not really, but, you know, we, like, had the Super Nintendo downstairs. So they just, like, come in and, like, make sure we were doing well. Or maybe, like, tell us if it was close to dinner time. I don't remember if we had a clock down there. But either way. Our parents are shit. We still don't have anything sharp to... like, cut the growths with. What is this? This isn't really food Grandpa might eat. Why would I give it to Grandpa? What, if Grandpa, like, starts speaking up, we're gonna clean his soap out with mouth literally by making him eat it? I don't think Grandpa's gonna like it. Meaning? Okay. We will have to observe Grandpa just to see what kind of foods he might be needing right now. I missed some of the fruits, so he didn't get as much vitamin A as he might have needed. Also, I might see if he wants the mother doll now that he's a little more grown. I don't get the point of cleaning the spaces if you don't get anything. Oh, I wonder if, like, you can choose from one of them, and I just chose the mother thing. Another bulbous growth. Alright. Anything? What's this? Is that bread? Yeah, he might eat it. We'll see what else I can find. I want to do what's best for Grandpa. Sometimes the blue ones are a little hard to see. Because I feel like they match so well. What's this? Remember I like mushrooms. Although I feel like a lot of people don't like mushrooms. Mushrooms by themselves, I'm not fond of. But like peas and mushrooms are very good. Symbolism. I feel like we still need a light and we still don't have one. Alright, 3 foods for Grandpa. Let's go to the kitchen and see what there is. An apple. A jackfruit. Oh, I got an achievement probably for finding all the food. Because there's only 4 achievements. I don't understand why we'd give him soap. Like, the fiberglass, even though I know that it seems unbelievable, like, I still want him to be warm, so we can at least put that weird reasoning. But why soap? Alright, let's go to Grandpa. And he is getting tall. Grandpa seems fatigued and almost anemic. Some of its spines appear brittle. Perhaps it'd be more cooperative if fed an iron-rich meal like meat. I don't even have meat, is the thing. Would you like the mother doll? I'm sure if I did something the bulbous growth, that might have some, like, flesh, but I don't have anything to give to Grandpa. I think it'll be fine. It's causing some indigestion. Yeah, I kind of wish I had found it earlier. The indigestion. I know, I'm sorry, Grandpa. Listen. I'm gonna, if I can get some flesh, I'm just gonna be like, screw the rules. We're feeding him flesh. Careful making an incision of the growth with your scissors. You peer into the small opening created by your incision. In the oily cavity, a powerful smell of rot arises, and may smell increate beings lay motionless and dead. However, you just barely hear the near silent slithering of something, or maybe it's just your imagination. That squish, holy shit. I feel like the design for one of those games, it's good. If you do plan on playing it, it's kind of good to go in blind. A self-sufficient animal form knit together from years of ambient thoughts left to crawl around the basement. Grandpa may enjoy the flesh. All right, we have food for Grandpa. Little friends! All right, so because I didn't give Grandpa anything sickening, I missed it last time, but that's okay. As I said, you know, first playthrough. All right, Remnant 3. I wonder if there's an achievement to give Grandpa all the remnants. I bet you there is. Was there one at the painting? No. Because, like, the thing is, I think it was Dr. Hart that said don't give it flesh. But Dr. Hart says a lot of things. He also said kill it 4 weeks later. Don't question it. Don't do anything. Just kill it. Oh my god. Alright, we're gonna give Grandpa all the flesh. Did we clean everything? I assume yes. But I need the little thing to tell me I cleaned everything. Because this is potentially our last week with Grandpa. Okay. All right. All right, we have all of the food. We're gonna go to Grandpa. We're going to feed Grandpa. All right, Grandpa's very excited about the Flash. The meal appears to have been particularly well received. You're offering to flesh stir something within Grandpa. From within the folds of its body, a wiry proboscis-like appendage begins to emerge. It may be worth taking a look at this after the feeding. Knowledge you recently acquired has given you access to a new conversation topic to discuss with Grandpa. Cool. Alright, would you like more meat, Grandpa? Wait. We want to do this in the right order. Alright, he doesn't want it again. Man, if I'd started this week 2, we could give Grandpa all the meat. I'm a little upset myself. But as I said, like, playthrough 1, yes, it's one of those things where how can you know? But, you know, I can't be too upset. I'll know for next time. I'll know when I play again, because I definitely am playing again. Just to feed Grandpa all the meat. The meat appears to have been sufficient. Here's an apple. Oh, actually, it might like the jackfruit instead. Alright, Grandpa finds it palatable. Alright, so that's it. Let's teach Grandpa. Sounded close enough. Meaning part vocabulary and vocalization module, metacognition, higher thought. We further delve into abstraction with Whiskers, partially or perhaps for the most part, for the purpose of determining the origin of its recollections that precede its death. Dr. Hart has begun to theorize that in the process of death, the structure of Whiskers is compressed back into the morpholactic nucleus, and then later, upon reestablishing the nerve netting that is laced through its spines, slowly reassembled and redeployed as needed. I do not think this is the case, for I can plainly see that for growth cycles in which Whiskers is not receiving our pronunciation and vocabulary lessons, that its capacity general for comprehending its environment is greatly diminished, and in the simulated conversations we carry out, Whiskers struggles greatly or else does not participate. In any case, we will press on with our lessons and heed Dr. Hart's caution regarding terminating the growth cycle before Whisker's allotted growth time passes, or if it appears to be becoming just a little too competent at appearing human. It's okay that that Grandpa looks human. You know, it giving him a fleshy look means that Adrian can hug her long deceased grandpa. So Dr. Hart didn't know what he was on about. You know, maybe Whiskers was grandma. Maybe that's why grandma has been mentioned. Dr. Hart, you know what? Probably also wasn't a good dad. I'll say it. He did it. Part of vocabulary and vocalization module. Alright, higher thought. There's no comments. There appears to be nothing written here, or if there was, it was thoroughly erased. Yeah, this is definitely the last card. I'll get over it, but I truly do wish I had known back then. Well, although, you know what? I say that, and I know I even said, like, don't fucking help me, and I would not have wanted the help. But I'm only mad because I really wanted to do the best for Grandpa. But as I said, that's a second playthrough kind of deal. Let's go chat with Grandpa. Oh, he's looking good. Anything different with Biohazard been? Grandpa, oh my god, Grandpa's growing great! Grandpa loudly clears his throat before gently responding in a lucid, well-projected voice. Ah, you're asking about the medical waste bin? I believe it's locked up. I heard them punch it in the code many times as they placed part of my burnt-up dying self into the bin. They often forgot what the code was and had to go check on the wall where they were always taping up sheets upon sheets of information. So much so that the new papers would cover the old. What do you think you would find in there? Perhaps something. They did throw trash inside from time to time, bits of paper and so forth. I remember seeing a man who looked quite like me. His daughter had given him a photo of her new boyfriend. He threw it into the bin in disgust and joked with one of his colleagues. It may still be in there for all I know. That's... like, it's mucked up that he just threw it out, but it also seems a little weird that the daughter gave him a picture of her boyfriend. Like, if it was her and her boyfriend, that would be one thing, but why just a picture of the boyfriend? Why'd he throw it out? I mean, if he didn't want it, I guess, but, like, just put it on the fridge and try not to think of it. Just be nice. Be a good dad. Be a nice dad. Alright, how you knew about language? Ah, you're asking about language? Well, the more you taught me, the more I was able to learn myself by hearing what you are thinking and saying. A week ago, I could speak a little bit, but I was less of what you imagined me to be and not quite the talker I am at the moment. Oh, look at him. It looks like he has a nice grandpa smile. Part of what I'm saying is, of course, made up of what you expect me to say. I think I'm very comfortable being open and honest with you because I am your grandpa and I love you, and certainly that makes up part of what I am. Oh! This is a way better grandpa than I imagined Dr. Hart truly was. However, there's a part of me deeper down, the thing that created me maybe, that undying nucleus. It is answering for me as well and is unaffected by whoever might shape what I become with their thoughts. Oh, little friends. Ah, you're asking about my little friends? Well, yes, they come from me. They grow around me in pockets of flesh and protoplasm. Think of them like dreams, maybe. I'll explain. Have you ever had a dream that was sort of like a bunch of people, places, and events you experienced, all mixed together and jumbled up? It's a sorting through and disposing of the refuse of the mind. That sounds actually exactly what a dream is. I think I, like, read in my psychology book that when you can't... I don't remember if it was quite like it, but it was something you can't dream of, like, someone you had technically never seen before or something. I don't remember. And I don't have the psychology book anymore because I think I had rented it, but that seems exactly what a dream is. Like, things or places that you've been or seen enough. Like, if you're in a forest, probably because you've seen enough forests, you can, like, make one because of your subconscious or whatever, but thanks for explaining what a dream is, Grandpa. I love you. My little friends are like that, refuse, and in ridding myself of them, I'm casting off the excess material I did not use in developing life forms. Anyone who comes close to me, well, they are my eyes, my nose, my skin. Their thoughts become mine and shape what I make. However, when I was alone for so long, I didn't have a lot of people near me. What you are thinking and expecting of me is shaping what I'm saying, how I'm saying it. Do you understand? Yes. What I am thinking is thrown into his little growth blender, and he becomes the visualization of what I might think in my head. And so, because I did not have enough input from my surroundings in order to put the material to use, the material falls off my body, crawls away, and usually dies. I'm able to make the most of my material when someone is looking right at me, projecting who I will be, like you are now. What you are thinking and expecting of me is shaping up what I'm saying, how I'm saying. Do you understand? Okay, I don't know why he said that twice. Oh yeah, let's ask about his, proboscis. Proboscis? I don't know. Oh, you're asking me about my proboscis? It is just a little tube I keep to help me feed on blood. You could say it is my real mouth, but it's not really a mouth. It appeared because you fed me flesh, one of those little friends you found, I think. You feeding me flesh was a symbol, a proposition, if you will, that you wanted to hold up your end of the bargain with regards to your wish. If someone is willing to hold up their end of the bargain and let me feed on them with my proboscis, then they can move on to the next step of the agreement, providing me with symbolic instructions. I hope that helps clear things up. Oh, you have another question? Do I like the blood? Well, my whiskers, I believe they like the blood and the flesh. It's strange, they are me, and yet they are now me. I'm bound to them, they control me, and technically, yes, they did make me. However, you were the one who really grew me. In some ways, those whiskers, they are me, or a part of myself, or I'm a part of it. That part is much more animal-like. Whatever might happen, know that I always love you, and because it controls me, I might not be able to act how I would like, even if I do love you. You want the doll? Um, I mean, save the game. Who could that be? Come in. Ah, Adrian, good to see you. Aren't you a little early? No matter, I suppose I have some time now. How have you been? How's your grandpa doing? That's why I want to talk to you. Something happened. Oh, what happened? Nothing bad, I hope. I like how he went from, this is getting fucking weird. I'm not gonna ask her about grandpa anymore. I'm not gonna, like... I think he hoped, like, maybe if he didn't bring it up, she would talk about something else, but it's clearly such a big thing in her head, she kept going. So maybe that's why he went back on his original... whatever. No, nothing bad. Just different, I think. Maybe even good. I'll tell you about it. Last night, something woke me up. There was this noise at first. It was like, it came from the walls. I could hear it from my bedroom, but there was something else. Something calling. I could hear it just barely. I was afraid somehow Grandpa hurt himself. I had to go find out. I've been feeding Grandpa the flesh, so now he can get around the house. I went downstairs in the vent, place where I first found Grandpa, or what I grew him with. It was open. Do you remember how I told you about the vent in the ceiling behind the bars? I was thinking he had climbed up into it. He had gotten so big, he could have done that. Maybe he had gotten trapped somehow in the vent. I had to go see. Imagine if I had grown Grandpa with more flesh from, like, week 2 onward. Because, like, if she's here, we know she's... Well, no, she could be fine. Or this could be a mimic. I got inside. I heard... I got inside. I heard the calling again, more clearly this time. Grandpa was definitely in the vent somewhere. I could feel him hearing my thoughts. I got that weird feeling, a sense in the air. I had to go forward. Ugh! As I moved in closer, the vent had stuff in it. The kind of slimy, hairy stuff Grandpa would leave around a lot. Hairball? He was definitely close. Ugh. Something was there at the end. But it wasn't Grandpa. It looked maybe like he had made it through. It looks like it's talking to me. I mean, like, the thing, it does even warn you that there's, like, body horror and gore. Ugh. It's so... It's gross, but it's also mesmerizing the way the mouth is moving. Cause it's like almost shiny and sparkly. So that's why, like, I keep staring at it even though it's so grotesque. It was slumped in the corner. He had a weird mouth and it had its lungs on the outside and drew in just enough to call out air, just enough air to call out. And then it just stopped. How does an 8-year-old know what it is very weird, but like in the greatest of ways. In my opinion, it's just the kind of weirdness I was hoping for. And then it just stopped. Imagine if it had teeth. I'm gonna take a screenshot later. I'm gonna Photoshop in teeth. Maybe. Stop breathing. And then something was hanging over me. And then I woke up in my bed. In your bed? Adrian, it sounds like it was just quite a dreadful dream. Are you alright, by the way? Your face is twitching like you're about to have a violent sneeze. I'm fine. It's just Grandpa, you see. It took me a little while to figure out, but... Later, when I was brushing my teeth, I saw one of Grandpa's whiskers poking just out of the space under my eye. Grandpa's inside of her. Grandpa will be inside of all of us. And I started to remember how in the vent he hid inside me. Is it because we fed him the flesh? I wish we fed more flesh. It was so fast I could barely remember, but soon I started to feel him sliding around in my head, behind my forehead, and behind my eyes and nose. It doesn't hurt at all. It's just ticklish. I'm glad I can be with him. Oh, I can feel him now. I'm glad she's so okay with it, even though it's mega fucked up. But I can't help but feel like maybe this is my fault. Although, technically, I play as her, but like me, the player. Maybe this won't happen if I just kept feeding him fruit and mushrooms. I think he wants to meet you. Part of him is moving down my arm. Oh. I'm starting to get worried. Adrian, you really should not be twitching like this. I should walk you to the nurse's office. Come on, let's go. So they get up and Grandpa takes over. You should really meet him. I've told you so much about him. Here. Okay. Let's meet Grandpa. What are you doing? Adrian, you're starting to look very ill. Please, just wait. Just stay still. He's gathering, waiting at my fingertips. Why do you look like that? You don't have to be afraid. Look. That loading screen freaked me out. There are two endings, and I got the failure of fulfillment ending. I think it's because I didn't give him all the meat. Okay. So I'm curious. If we give him all the meat, I assume we get the good ending. Because I found out too late, oh, like, everything I needed to do. I had to make him throw up way earlier. Okay. Okay. Let's exit. Okay, and I also didn't collect every document, but that's fine. I liked that game a lot. It took about, it says 2.3 hours, but I don't remember. We'll see. What I'm thinking I'll do is start again tomorrow, play the game again, but now that I know now what I did then, go for the ending where I need to give him all the flesh. You know? I do like that. I do like how it's at the end. Yeah, there's two endings. Something like there's two endings. You got the, what was it? Failure of fulfillment ending. Um but you know what? Even though you technically got the, I almost don't even consider it a bad ending. I think I'm gonna go through again on stream. I don't think it'll take that long. I might skip all the dialogue that's like samey. That'll save some time and go for the good ending. Um so curious. That was a good game though. That was a good game. Jasiro, as you said, very weird game. I'm so glad someone else knows it. Like, I'm sure people do, but I think I said before, like, I'll play these weird ass little indie games and like people won't know it. They'll come in, they'll come through, they'll watch, but when someone comes in and they're like, "Yes, I know this game." It's kind of exciting. Um very, I don't want to say basic. Simple. It's a simple game. The hardest part probably being teaching grandpa language because the first time took a bit because even though they explained it, I have to go through it once, but I thought it was very good. The horror was there, but I personally felt like it wasn't over the top, just more of like disgusting, but not super gory, weird shit, which it was, but like not in an off-putting way. Um, how kind Grandpa was almost counteracted how weird and gross it was, I guess. You are indeed growing your grandpa. Um, I thought the sound effects were pretty well done. There were some, maybe not typos. There were a couple times where it seemed like he was using one instance of a word when he meant another instance of the word, like gather, gathered, gathers. I think it was more a tense thing. I don't remember. Um, I think a little more or a few more commas here and there to put pauses would have made more sense, but it wasn't that bad. Um, overall, I think this game set out to do exactly what it did. And what else has he done? One title's been what are my, oh, hide items in my library. Wait, what did that say? Creator of Water Womb World plus Discover My Body? Weird. Yeah, that was pretty good. I think I got the gist. I'm trying to remember if it said why everyone was gone. I think it was something like, oh no, you know why? Because the parents won the house and that's why they kind of packed up and left. They probably didn't have time to clean up all of the warnings and everything, but I do say a lot that when it comes to games that have multiple endings, sometimes I'm not truly a fan. I think it depends on how it's done. Like, the actions, what I fed to Grandpa, and they do even point out, like, do not feed him flesh, which feed him all the flesh. Um, it kind of makes it obvious that it's gonna make a difference, right? But if it just seems kind of random and out of the way, then I think I don't like one's different endings, but I don't mind it. I'm so curious how Adrian turns out once you feed him all the flesh, because I imagine that changes how she acts during the subsequent weeks. Um, Usually I don't replay games just for different endings, but as I said, the game was pretty short. I can skip through some of the starting dialogue and we can see what happens during the fulfillment ending, and I can try to look for all the documents, I suppose. Um, but yeah, tomorrow, 1 1:30 Eastern, maybe a little earlier. We'll start out with growing my grandpa again. And then you know what? I have another game called Fatum Batu, another horror game I got that I'll play after that. So even though Mothered didn't um run well on stream, I should say, I might look into it and see if there's anything I can do to fix it. And No One Lives Under the Lighthouse. Oh, I guess they refunded me. It says purchase. Let's uninstall that. Yeah, No One Lives Under the Lighthouse unfortunately got in its own way. And I it was too bad. It was too janky. But Growing My Grandpa, you know what? I would give it, for what it is, I think it accomplishes exactly what it sets out to do. I know I said I didn't like the main character. I would say more neutral. As I said, I think he's like putting too much onto what a 7 or 8-year-old can comprehend, and that's kind of annoying. But he's just listening. Obviously, he thinks she's making shit up because that's what kids do sometimes. They embellish because kids are very creative little people, right? Fine. But it's like because she's so detailed and it's just so mucked up, it feels like he starts to truly believe her. I'll give it a 10. Why not? Very weird. I liked reading the little details. I really got into it. I'm so excited to see what the other ending is. And that's going to be it for me. So thank you so much to everyone who came by to watch and chat and lurk and experience this weird effing little game. I'm so curious if there's any other games. I don't know if there's a way to quickly go into a game and see what Steam recommends based on that game or like similar games, but I might have to do some research because that's the kind of weird I look for in my horror games. Um but with all that said, I hope everyone has a really good night, and until next time, see ya.